purpose of this presentation is to uncover the facts about free cat adoptions and whether or not they are truly harmful to the cat or if they're beneficial overall. These concerns were investigated through external resources such as studies performed by organizations like the ASPCA, and they're a nonprofit organization just concerned with animal safety and well-being. Additional research was conducted through various success stories of humane societies that have already implemented these programs and through the survey of 75 people about the issue. Through this research, it's been uncovered that the majority of people do not see cats as being devalued through free cat adoptions and are actually mainly for promoting these type of events. It has also been unveiled that most people obtain their cats through a method where the cat will be at no cost to them and would rather adopt through a shelter or humane society to obtain a cat than any other method. Additional studies also show that the affection levels of owners towards their cat is not related with the cost of the animal, and even charging a small fee for the cat does not change a potential adopter's willingness to adopt the animal. So, free cat adoptions, are they good or are they bad? A lot of people will argue either or. Some of the pros of free cat adoptions, it helps the cats become adopted into homes very quickly. It also saves the shelter money in the long run, and a lot of people think that free cat adoptions don't save the shelter money because it's free, and they're like, well, where are they getting this money? It's been actually shown that when shelters do free promotions, more people are likely to give the shelter money in a donation form than anything. Also, with the pet actually being there for a long period of time, that's where they're incurring all those costs, not necessarily from microchipping or spaying and neutering. Just keeping the cat there for a really long time costs them a lot of money. So if the cats are constantly being adopted, then the flow of money is better for them. It also prevents the cats from being euthanized. Obviously, the longer a cat stays in there, they're going to eventually have to do something with the cat. A lot of shelters don't do no-kill, and so it prevents that. It also saves the adopter money so that they can use that money towards other items for the cat. Through my research, I found that a lot of people will take, like, say, the $50 or something that they were going to spend on the adoption fee and actually just buy, like, toys, litter pan, other things. So that's one thing to think about. There's also cons, and a lot of people have usually these three concerns when it comes to free cat adoptions. A lot of adopters who aren't financially fit to take care of the cat may be more inclined to adopt. So, you're like, hey, this cat's free, let's just adopt. I may not be really able to take care of the cat in the future, but a lot of those people might be more inclined to adopt from the shelter then. People won't take the responsibility that comes with owning a cat seriously because the cat is devalued by being free. So, when you think of a free cat, you think of Craigslist and cats that aren't wanted or cats that have issues or something. And, if you get something for free, you might not really think much of it and you don't see as much value in it. So a lot of people think that's what happens. Also, a lot of people who want to just hurt animals may adopt the cat. There's a lot of things, on Craigslist, people get cats for free and they're like, don't put it for free because somebody might use it for, feeding or pitting animals against each other, whatever they do with them. So that's one of those issues. But despite all that, the good news is that most shelters and humane societies screen their potential adopters even when there is no fee involved. So you can't just go to one of these free events and just be like, oh yeah, I want that cat and take it home. No, that's not how it works. A lot of times you have to fill out an application and wait like a 24-hour period before you can take that animal home. So you think on it and make sure that you really want the animal. Studies also show that there's generally no change in the rates of returns to the shelter with cats that are obtained through the fee-way adoptions. So whether they got it for free or they got it, they paid for it, a lot of times those cats do end up staying in homes. And this information is mainly coming from the Wisconsin Humane Society. And then if they're coming from a shelter, the cats will be altered. They'll be vetted, and sometimes they even microchip them, so it's better for the community. If the cat does end up getting out, at least they're spayed or neutered, and they won't make more cats to go to the shelter. So all in all, it's good in that way. And the reason that we need these programs is simply because everyone wants a kitten. Older cats are adopted less because mainly when potential adopters are going to the shelter to purchase a cat, they'll see the kittens and then they're like, I want the kitten because the kitten's going to eventually grow with me and my family. It's going to be great for now. I'm going to play with my kids, they're active, they're fun. And older cats just tend to, lay there. They're not very active, not very fun as pets sometimes. And then that leads to adult cats having longer stays, which costs the shelter more money, causes the cat's health to decline, and then eventually leads to them to becoming unadoptable. And that just leads to euthanasia. And how can we prevent this? Well, by utilizing the free promotions for cats over 1 year in age, we can reduce the length of stay for these cats, which saves the shelter money, is beneficial to the cat's health and well-being, and also helps these cats find their forever homes. Alright, so the question is, do free cats actually devalue the animal? Well, I did some research, and according to a study that is actually in an academic journal, so it's legit information, from the ASPCA in 2006, they did a study entitled A Comparison of Attachment Levels of Adopters of Cats, Fee-Based Adoptions versus Free Adoptions. And through that study, they concluded that the cats were obtained through a free promotion were just as likely to stay in their homes as cats that were paid for, and their owners were just as attached to them. I actually had some more information about that too. And it was a lady called Dr. Emily Weiss, and she's actually ASPCA Shelter Research and Development Department. And it was, 173 adopters were surveyed. And most of them, there was 95 of them that didn't pay a fee for the cat, and then 78 people paid a $75 fee. So it's kind of a big difference there. But again, they found that there was no relation to whether or not the cat would be loved and taken care of if they were paid for or not. And then there was another study done by the ASPCA, and that was on the Edmonton Humane Society, and then they came to the same conclusion. And then just a few success stories. A lot of these shelters had implemented, the free promotions for the first time on the dates listed, and they continued them because they were doing so well. The Charleston Humane Society had a 3-day event in May 2009, and they adopted out 108 cats over the age of 1 for free. And that was, just in 3 days. There was also the Lollipop Farm, which is the Humane Society of Greater Rochester, and they did a few free adopt-a-thons for all of their cats, so cats and kittens were included in that, in 2012. And one of their most successful days was in November of 2012, where 165 cats were adopted out in just that one day in November. The Seattle Animal Shelter adopted out 121 adult cats during their free promotion event, and that was, again, just in the month of June. So you can see how they adopt out a lot of cats using those promotions. And then, locally, there's the Wisconsin Humane Society, and that includes Racine, Milwaukee, and Ozaki. And they actually kind of started this whole thing of doing the free promotions, and that began in 1998, where, shelters were getting overcrowded, and in order to reduce that, they started doing free promotions for adult cats. Right away, they noticed a 78% decrease in the shelter stays for adult cats. I believe they said it was on average 2 weeks stay for one cat, and it got down to 3 days. So it's pretty nice. And then in 2014 alone, free adoption promotions helped 500 cats each in the months of October and December find loving homes. And then my favorite quote from an article that I read that really, I think, just kind of tells you about, cats are, when they're free, they're not just garbage. You look at them as, you got to inform the public that the free waiver exists, not just because the cats don't have value, but because there are too many great cats that deserve great homes. And then there was also another event that's pretty famous called Maddie's Matchmaker Adopt-a-thon. And this, I believe there was, a survey was sent to 1,928 pet adopters. I believe that was all the adopters of this Adopt-a-thon. And it was in the San Francisco Bay Area in June of 2011. Only 57% replied, but that's actually a pretty high rate of replies. Out of that 57%, 95% of the cats that are adopted, so this was cats and dogs, but they were still in the home, and 94% claimed to have a strong attachment to their pet. And then the survey suggested that charging a fee for the animal did not determine a successful adoption, and that free adoption promotions will actually increase the amount of animals adopted without compromising their quality of life. And then some primary research was conducted, and this was just a 75-person survey. Most of the people that responded to the survey were Wisconsin residents. It was sent out to about 300 people, so 75 replied. I think that's like 25% roughly. And the survey was online. Questions that were covered. How they obtained their cat, where their cat is now, the cat's health status, whether or not they thought free cat promotions devalued the animal, and then questions concerning how much they did or would pay for a cat. Shockingly, 95.8% of the respondents stated they did not see free cat promotions as devaluing to the animal. So that's pretty high. I think there was only a couple people that did think that it did devalue the animal. Almost 60% of the respondents claimed to have obtained their cat through some sort of free method, or would want to receive a cat in the future through a free method. So this was like stray cats, obtaining through a family member, a friend, Craigslist, any way that they would get the cat free was 60% of the people that had actually owned a cat before. 65% of people would want to receive their next animal through the Humane Society, and it was split almost half and half between people who would want to do it the free promotion way and people who would want to do it the fee-based way. And then most people paid $0 for their current cat, or would pay just zero. They didn't want to pay for a new cat. While the second highest response paid $50 or more, or they would pay $50 or more for a cat. So there was a big gap in the percentages, and kind of concluded that the gap was probably through people that went to the Humane Society, paid the fee, because generally Humane Societies charge at least $50. Some go up to like $100, $125 for a cat. And then just people that got it for free, paid nothing. And then there's a couple of pie charts here. I know they're kind of hard to see. But there was 2 questions on the survey, basically saying, if the perfect cat came about and it was $25, how likely would you be to adopt it? And it was 73.6% had no change. So at first the question was, would you adopt it, for free? And I think that number was like 75% of people would adopt that cat for free. And then, so it went down just like 2%, not even. And then 11.1% said they were a lot less likely. And then the percentages kind of vary from there. When that was raised to $50, it went from 73.6% to 50%. So that's what, 23.6% now decided they don't want to adopt a cat. So, and as you can see, 25% said they're a lot less likely to adopt a cat. So by doubling that amount, just from going 25 to 50, a lot of people weren't going to adopt now. So how can we split those differences? Well, as you can see, the comparison in the two pie chart shows a dramatic decrease in potential adopters when the fee is raised from $25 to $50. So it's recommended that a fee of no more than $25 should be charged for a cat adoption, and or the free adoption should continue for cats. So maybe on a daily basis, cats would be $25 or less, and then continue those free promotions during those peak times where a lot of cats are coming into the shelters and there's not a lot of space. Then you can do the free promotions, and I think that would help regulate that, and so there's not so much overcrowding in the shelters. Also, the survey said that most people get a cat, through free means. So stray cats, farm cats, cats obtained through friends and family members, Craigslist, etc. So a lot of people have options to go to the shelter. I mean, they're getting the benefits of vetting and microchipping, spaying, neutering, but a lot of people don't think about that. They just think about, how can I get a cat for free now? So you got to think about that. And then that one study showed that even out of those who could afford an adoption fee, 30% of those said they prefer a free cat anyway. So a lot of people, even if they have the money, people are tight with their money. People don't want to pay for an animal when there's so many options out there to get it for free. And then this should be kept in mind. Most people want a free cat, but also most people want to adopt from the shelter. So therefore people would promote, free cat Humane Society promotions. Conclusions. Based upon the success stories, the primary research, and various survey and studies performed on past adopters using this method of adoption, humane societies and shelters should continue the use of these reduced fee or free promotion events in order to successfully adopt cats to loving forever homes. The research that was gathered through various organizational websites, studies, and surveys showed continued success with free cat adoptions, and there have been no significant negative long-term effects of these programs. So basically, throughout all those examples that I showed, it doesn't seem to really hurt. A lot of people don't think it devalues the animal at all. It's been successful. It's been getting a lot of cats into homes. It's just, the cost, when it's like $50 or more, a lot of people aren't going to pay that. So if shelters just continue to have the free promotions and maybe reduce their costs, I think overall that